Now, I will be talking to you about the characteristics of language. There are several characteristics of language. These characteristics of language are not restricted to a particular race. They are universal. What is applicable to one race applies to another. According to a renowned linguist by name Charles Hockett, language can be identified with the following characteristics. 1. Innateness. Language is innate and species specific. This is to say that every child has an innate or inborn capacity for language, and only the human race possess this characteristic. That is to say that linguistically, a child does not start out as a blank slate, but has most of the structure of language built in him or her. Language acquisition, therefore, consists of learning a particular language. And two reasons support this claim. 1. All normal children learn some human language, and only human beings possess this ability. 2. The rate at which children learn language is the same among children of different intelligent levels as well as different cultures. This is to say that at the age of 5, children have a grasp or command of language of the immediate environment. The second characteristic of language is conventionality. Communication will break down if individuals arbitrarily coin words of their own to refer to objects, concepts, or ideas without the consent of other users of the language. Imposing a check on language helps to curb the arbitrary use of language. That is to say that there is a tacit unspoken agreement among users of a language that certain words shall refer to certain grammatical operations. The third characteristic of language is dynamism. Language is also subjected to the natural processes of change, which comes as time passes on. This is to say that human language is bound to changes from time to time, arising from cultural and international dynamics. For example, the English language evolved from Old English to Middle English, Middle English to Modern English, and Modern English to what we have now as Contemporary English. Many situations also account for the change in language. Situations such as civilization, wars, sicknesses, technology, migration, and a host of others. The fourth characteristic is arbitrariness. Language is characterized by arbitrary symbols. This is to say that there is no one-to-one correspondence between the object or the symbol which stands for it. The relationship between speech sounds and the meanings they represent is on the most part an arbitrary one. That is to say that there is no logical connection between a word and its meaning. For example, a book is a book because English users name it so. The same applies to every other word. A book can be termed a cup and it will stand. However, there are certain words that have their meanings attached to their words. Such words like buzz, hiss, bang. The fifth characteristic is systemicity. The term system implies structure, and every language has its own structure of organizing its component units or parts into meaningful patterns. There is the morphological and syntactic structure which operates in a rule-governed manner. Every language has two systems, the system of sounds and the system of meaning. The sounds of a language allows a small fraction of sounds to be used over and over again in different combinations to form units or words or meaning. The sixth characteristic is cultural transmission. Language is the most important aspect of culture. And like every other aspect of culture, language is transmitted from generation to generation through the exposure to appropriate speech event. This means that language is normally acquired through exposure to the cultural environment in which language is used as a means of communication. That is to say that language is not genetic or hereditary. The seventh characteristic is displacement. This refers to the fact that language can be used to talk about things and events that are remote in time and place. This means that language can be used to talk about real and imagined things in the past, present, and future. Language can also be used to talk about itself. That is exactly what I'm doing now. I am talking about language. This is to say that language can be used in creating fiction as well as transmitting historical information. The eighth characteristic of language is productivity and creativity. This feature of the language provides opportunities for people to produce and understand different messages which they neither heard nor understand before. It is this creative aspect of language that makes it very difficult or impossible for one to understand or know all the sentences in a language. It is also this aspect of language that provides the opportunity for one to use different varieties of messages or send out different varieties of messages. This goes to say that language is an open-ended system. Apart from these noble roles played by language, language is the most notorious and diverse feature in intergroup situations. This is because language unites and divides, and it is on the basis of language that man discriminates in his social dealings with his fellow human beings. I have come to the end of this class today, and I urge you, students, to speak your language. Language is the most integral part of every human being. When you refuse to speak your language, you are indirectly denying your language a chance to live. So I urge you to always speak your languages. When you speak your language, you also stand a chance to understand the English language better. And it is an added advantage for you to speak your language well and also speak English fluently. So I urge you to always speak your language. Thank you.